today's video is to show you how to make this sweet little jelly bean baby chick. So this baby chick requires no sewing and only the tiniest bit of embroidery for his beak. So before we get started, let's go through a few things. I'm going to be using the Honey Bunny yarn by Hobbii. I have the colors pumpkin and lemon curd here. I've got some stuffing. I have my H hook. So it's a 5.0 millimeter hook, and this is a Clover and Moore hook, but you can use whatever hook you like. Scissors, needle, stitch markers, and then I also have 10 millimeter safety eyes here. If you're looking for notions and things, I do have an Amazon link below where I have linked the notions that I like to use. And if you want to follow along with a written pattern, there is a free version of the baby chick up on the blog. And if you prefer a paid version, the paid version is a 5-in-1 bird pattern, and it includes all of the baby chick's little friends. So there's a penguin friend, flamingo, mallard duck, and chicken. So those are all available in the paid PDF. Once these guys are available as free patterns on the blog and with videos, I will link them below as well. But right now, it's just the baby chick that's up on the blog, and then there's the paid version with the 5 of them together. I think that's about it. Oh, and if you want to adjust your playback speed to go faster or slower, you are welcome to do so by hitting the cog in the top right corner of your screen, and then on the drop-down menu, hit playback speed, and then adjust that to your liking. And don't forget, you can always pause if you need to take a break or to get caught up, whatever you need. Yeah, so let's get started. So to begin our baby chick, we're going to start with the wings. To make the wings, we want to start with a slip knot. And then we are going to chain 3. And then in the third chain from the hook, which is your starting chain, you are going to do 3 double crochet stitches. And then we are going to chain 2, and we will place a slip stitch into that starting chain again. So everything is worked into our starting chain. And then we're going to end off, and you want to make sure you have a few inches here, because we can use these to help tie our wings on. We're going to crochet them on, but then I also like to use these tails to help keep the wing on. So I'm also going to place a stitch marker in this starting chain, because it's this starting chain that we are going to work into when we crochet the wing onto the body. So there we go, we've got that in there, and then don't forget to make a second one. Because they're so quick, I'm just going to make it here on camera with you. Again, we will chain 3, and then you want to place 3 double crochets into your third chain from the hook. And then chain 2 and slip stitch into that same stitch, which was our starting chain, and end off. And then place your stitch marker in if you're unsure where your starting chain is. And there we go. We've got 2 little wings. When I come back, we'll get started with the body. Okay, so let's start our body. And for the body, we are going to start with a magic ring. Now, magic rings can be a little bit tricky with the chenille style yarn. So if you're having trouble closing your magic ring, just chain 2 and then put all of your stitches for round 1 into the second chain from your hook. So when I'm using the chenille yarns, I like to make sure that the ring is moving before I start placing my stitches in round 1. And then I want to make my stitches very loose. So round 1 has 6 single crochet stitches made into this loop. So I like to keep my stitches nice and loose to help me close my chain. And all of these techniques, like the magic ring, invisible decrease, which we'll get into in a little bit, all of those can be found in my beginners Amigurumi playlist. So I'll link that below as well for you. There's 6. And we're going to close our ring. stitch marker at the end of my rounds just to help keep track. So we have 6 stitches. For round 2, we are going to go from having 6 stitches up to 12 stitches. So to do that, we are going to have 2 single crochets in each stitch, which is the same as increasing in each stitch. All right, and that's it for round 2. Round 3 is also an increase round, so we're going to go from having 12 stitches up to 18. To do that, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. And we will repeat that pattern around for 6 times total. And again, we're going to single crochet and then put 2 single crochets in the stitch after. All right, on to round 4. Round 4, we're going to be adding the bobble stitch legs. So make sure you've got your orange yarn ready. So we are going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. And before you finish off that stitch, that's where you want to grab your orange yarn, and you're going to use it for the last pull through of the stitch. So pull that through like that. And I don't tie it or anything yet. I'm going to do that after I've completed this round. So we're going to do a bobble stitch next. So a bobble stitch is basically 5 double crochet stitches that are all attached to the top. So you just start the first half of them and then you finish by closing them all at the top. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, through 2. And then we're going to repeat that 4 more times, working in the same stitch for all of the parts. Pull up a loop. Okay. So now one of the secrets to a bobble stitch and getting it to stick out is to make sure this original loop stays tight, and to make sure that you keep your yarn tight as you work through here. So we're going to take our yellow yarn and pull that across. We went through all 6 loops on the hook. And I'm going to tighten down the orange on both sides. I'm going to keep this loop tight. See how the bobble stitch is coming forward with this being tight? You don't want to go too tight just because the yarn will snap. You want to make sure it's tight, and then make sure that you're working in the next stitch here. So push over the bobble stitch. And then you're going to work a single crochet right beside that bobble stitch. Again, keeping this stitch nice and tight. And see how that bobble comes forward? That's what we want. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches as well. So there's 5 total in between our legs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the yarn from the previous bobble stitch, and then I'm going to reattach it here. Oh, I'm going to go back to that last pull through. I forgot to add my new yarn. Okay, so on the last pull through, add your orange again. And then we're going to do another bobble stitch. So again, we yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, and repeat that 4 more times. Yarn over, insert, okay, so now we have 6 loops on our hook. We're going to grab our yellow yarn to end off our bobble, tighten down the orange here, yarn over and pull through all 6 loops on the hook, and tighten down the orange a bit more, and move our bobble stitch over so we're actually working in the next stitch, and single crochet. All right, and then you're going to single crochet in each of the next stitches. All right, so you should still have 18 stitches total. What we're going to do here before we start round 5, first I'm going to put my stitch marker back in, but then I'm going to tie off the yarn used for these bobble stitches. So I'm just going to go back here and take the beginning and the end, the orange yarn, tie that off. You don't want to go too tightly because you don't want to lose this stitching here from pulling too tight. But you want to make it fairly tight so that your bobble continues to stick out nicely. Okay, there we go. Now on to round 5. Round 5 is a decrease round. So we're going to go from having 18 stitches down to 15 stitches. So to do that, we are going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And then we're going to do a single crochet decrease. We're going to repeat that 2 more times. So again, single crochet in the next 4 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. Okay, so you want to make sure you've got 15 stitches now. And then for the next 2 rounds, so those are rounds 6 and 7, for those 2 rounds, you're going to single crochet in each stitch around. I'm going to do those off camera, and when I come back, we will do round 8 together. Okay, so here I am after completing round 6 and 7, so you should still have 15 stitches. And then to do round 8, we have to start by figuring out where our wings need to go. So because we all crocheted a little bit differently, our stitches stack a little bit different. So sometimes they go on more of an angle than others, depending on whether you're using yarn over, yarn under, or just really how you pull on the stitch as you're working. So none of it's wrong, but it just means that we need to figure out where our wings go. So to do that, we want to figure out where the middle 7 stitches are. So ultimately we want to figure out our middle stitch first. And sometimes I tug on it a little bit to just make sure I've got the center. So my center, I would say, is about here. So I'll start by marking that. Then I'm going to mark 3 stitches on either side of that to get my 7 center stitches. You don't have to add stitch markers in all of the stitches if you don't want. I'm just going to do that to help you see with the video what I'm doing. And it may seem that your wings are too far back. Don't worry about that, because we're going to do 2 decreases in the front here, which will bring your wings forward. So this round not only has attaching the wings on it, but it's also going to be a decrease round. So it's a little bit tricky, but we will get through it. All right, so there's our middle 7 stitches. So make sure you've marked yours out. And then we want to count over to the right. We want the stitch to the right of this last stitch marker. If you're left-handed, you're going to be working on this side instead because you'll be coming around from the left. So, but right-handed, you want the stitch to the right of your last stitch marker. For me, that happens to be the next stitch. For you, it may not. For you, you may need to add a stitch in here or take one out in order to make sure your next stitch is where you attach your wing. So if you need to add or remove a stitch, that's okay. Don't count that as part of round 8. It's just a shift stitch. So it doesn't count for round 8, but make sure that round 8 begins in the stitch before the stitch marker. So then to attach our wings, we're first going to crochet them on, and then we're going to use the tails and pull the tails through to tie them in. So I'm going to take the one that has the stitch marker in it so you can see. We want to crochet through the starting chain. So this is the starting chain. Remember we marked it. It's the chain that all of our double crochets and our slip stitch were worked into. So we're going to attach our stitch through that starting chain. I like to have one of my tails on one side of the stitch and one on the other, because I find it easier for using them to attach the wing as well. So we're going to go in through our starting chain, and then we'll go into the next stitch of the body, the same way we would if we were just working in the body. And we're going to do a single crochet to crochet those 2 pieces together. And I'm just going to tuck those ends out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to remove these stitch markers. So for our next stitch, we want to do a single crochet decrease. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to do another decrease. And then we're going to attach our second wing. So I didn't mark out the starting chain on here, but I know that it's this little hole here that I worked all of my stitches into. So again, I'll put one tail on either side and put my hook through the starting chain and then through the next stitch of the body and do a single crochet through both pieces. Okay, and then just move the tails, and then you're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to do another decrease. And then we're going to finish by single crocheting in the next 2 stitches. Okay, let's put my stitch marker back in there. So we'll take this one out. But what you want to do with these ends is, see, you've got your stitch here. You want to place one end on either side of that stitch. By place, I mean you're going to take your hook and just pull your tail through. on each side of the stitch, and then you can take your tails on the inside and tie them off. So that just gives the wing a little bit of extra stability. Makes it sit nicer on the body. This one, we'll do that to the second one. Okay, and then you can tuck all those ends inside. All right, on to round 9. So round 9 is an increase round. So when we did attached our wings on, we also decreased by 3 stitches. So we have 12 stitches here at the end of round 8. We're going to go for round 9, we're going to go from having 12 stitches up to 24 stitches. So to do that, we are going to put an increase or 2 single crochets into each stitch around. Okay, so now we have 24 stitches. We're moving on to round 10. So for the next 3 rounds, we're going to do a single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do that off camera, but rounds 10, 11, and 12 all have 1 single crochet in each stitch. So do those next 3 rounds, and then I'll come back and we will do round 13 together. Okay, so here I am at the end of round 12, and I did rounds 10, 11, and 12 off camera, and we were just single crocheting in each stitch around, so you should still have 24 stitches. So round 13 is a decrease round. We're going to go from having 24 stitches down to 21 stitches. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease, and we'll repeat that 3 times total. So again, we're going to single crochet in each of the 6 stitches, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease, and we will repeat that 3 times in total. Okay, so round 14, we are going to do another decrease round. We're going to go from having 21 stitches down to 18 stitches. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease, and we will repeat that 3 times total. So again, single crochet in 5 stitches, and then you're going to do a single crochet decrease. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we want to go to round 15, where we're going to go, it's another decrease round, so we're going to go from having 18 stitches down to 15 stitches. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. And we're going to do that a total of 3 times. Again, single crochet in the next 4 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. Okay, so now that we've completed round 15, we're going to add in our eyes. So you're going to place your animal down on the hard surface. And we are going to count up. It's 4 rounds up from where we attached our wings. So 9, 10, 11, 12, around 12. And we're going to place them about 6 stitches apart. So you can tell what round you're on by the little indents as we go up. So again, this is where we attached our wings, which was round 8. Then we're going to go up to round 12 to place our eyes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what I do to get them 6 stitches apart, I know that it needs to be fairly close to the outside. So I just put one in to start, and I don't put the backs on, just put one in, and then you want to count over 6 stitches from where you placed your safety eye. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is where we want our next one. And then I'm going to double check that they are placed evenly. So these look a little bit wonky. See how they're kind of to the right? So I'm going to move each one over 1 space. All right, that one looks good to me. So then I'll put my backs on. Now, if you are not wanting to use safety eyes for whatever reason, go ahead and mark the stitches here, mark the place where we're going to put these eyes, and then you can use that to figure out the embroidery of your eyes later. So I'm going to do a video that shows how to do a sleepy eye with these guys, and then I also have a video showing how to do a quick embroidered eye as well, and I'll link those below for you. I'm going to add in my safety eyes, make sure they're on good and tight. And then we're going to move on to round 16. So if you want to, at this point, you're welcome to start stuffing this little guy. Maybe I will add a little bit of stuffing. So add some stuffing before the top closes in too much. Now these guys aren't too tricky to stuff because they're so little, but I like to make sure that I've placed stuffing in where I know I've put increase rounds. So right here above the wings, I know that I've had a lot of increases in there. So I know that I was looking to shape the head there. So just place a bit of extra stuffing so that you make sure you get that shape that was intended in the design. And then what you want to do is once you've closed in the top of your head, you want to make sure you place more stuffing, put it underneath the top of the head to round it out, because you don't want a smushed looking head. Okay, so let's go on to round 16 now. I like to make sure my stuffing is not touching the tops of my stitches because I don't like when it gets caught in my crochet hook as I crochet. Okay, round 16. We're going to go from having 15 stitches down to 12 stitches. So to do that, we need to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. And we'll repeat that 3 times around. Okay, and then this is a good point where you can add some more stuffing. I'm going to wait till after the next round because I'm using a bulky yarn. I know I can get in to the top of the head with the end of my hook, even when there's only 6 stitches left. But if you're using a smaller yarn, I definitely recommend adding some more stuffing at this point. So round 17, we are doing another decrease round, our final full round, and we're going to go from 12 stitches down to 6 stitches. So that means we're going to do a decrease for every stitch. So the trick when you're doing this many decreases in a row is to keep your stitches nice and tight. Otherwise you'll see gaps in the top. Okay, so if you are finishing the top of your head here, you can go ahead and slip stitch to the next stitch and end off. If you want to have the little tufts of hair, then just wait a minute here and finish stuffing the top of your head if you haven't. So I'm going to add some more. See how this is kind of flat? So I'm going to add some more stuffing underneath the top of this. So see how that's rounded out the top of my head nicely? I think I might add a little bit more stuffing in there, but this is basically what we want. We want to make sure the head is nice and round. Okay, so now on to round 18. If you're doing it, this is an optional round. If you want to make the little tufts of hair, we're going to make those using the front loop only. So each stitch has a V on the top. It's hard to see because this is a decrease. Let's see if I can get my... No, you can't really see it. But there's a front loop and a back loop for every stitch. So we're going to work in the front loop only here as much as possible. See how I've kind of divided that stitch out? So we're going to work in the front loop to make the tufts of yarn, and then that leaves the back loops open so that you can cinch up the top when we're done here. So we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch, then we're going to chain 4, and then you want to slip stitch to the front loop of the next stitch. And then slip stitch to the front loop of the next stitch as well. And then we're going to chain 4 again. And slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. Chain 4. And then slip stitch in the last stitch. And then to end it off, I like to slip stitch to the first stitch of this round as well. That's here. Okay, and then you want to end it off. And then we are going to cinch up the top through those back loops. And they're quite well hidden in there. So if you can't find them all, that's okay. It'll still cinch up the top so that you don't have a hole. So I think I skipped one in there, but like, as you can tell, you can't really see that I've skipped one, so it's okay. And pull that closed, and I usually knot it. And then weave my yarn through here. Okay, the last little bit that we need to do for this little guy is to add on his beak. So I'm gonna grab about 12 inches or so of this pumpkin colored yarn. And I'll use my needle here. And we want to go about one round down from where the eyes are. So we can see that line in there. So we want one round down. And then it depends how wide you want your beak. So you can put it under like wide, so under like 4 stitches here. That's what I did with the duck. Now to make it a little bit smaller, if you go, see how you've got the V here? If you go in between that stitch and then come out between this stitch over here, that'll make your beak a little bit smaller. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna push our yarn through. You wanna keep a couple inches out here. I kind of hold that with my thumb so it doesn't try to sneak in as I go. And then you wanna repeat through that same set of holes 4 to 5 times. 1, 2. And if you want to make it a little bit taller, you can kind of pull your yarn around the sides as you go here. 3, 4, and then I'm going to bring my yarn back here and I'm going to tie it off. And once I've tied it off, I'm going to push it to the back. So you can just push this piece in if you want with the needle, or you can thread it through and push it to the back, whatever works better for you. Do that. Oh. There we go. And to even out this beak, you can just put your needle underneath and kind of push it back and forth, and that'll help to even out the beak. Okay, so there we go. We are done our little baby chick. Just gotta cut this off. There we go. We have ourselves a little jelly bean baby chick. So if you loved the video, please don't hesitate to give a like and subscribe, and we'll see you back next time. Bye for now.